Peruvian Metals in the news today. That's PER on the Toronto Venture Exchange, DUVNF on the OTC in the States. They generate a new high-grade silver gold project in Northern Peru. Here to run through the finer print, CEO Jeff Reeder. Hey, Jeff, appreciate the time here. Before we get to today's news here and how it fits into things, why don't you backtrack a little bit here for any new investors just seeing the news and hearing about the story. You go at things a little differently at Peruvian Metals. Why don't you lay that out for investors?
Okay, thanks, Rob. I've been 26 years in Peru, and I'm also, I consider myself as an entrepreneur where I'm very careful with my share capital. My directors, out of the 94 million shares outstanding, directors will own about 28 to 29 million of those shares. Also, that we have a few shareholders that have in excess of 5-6 million shares. So I feel protecting shareholder capital or our share capital is just as important as protecting your cash in the bank, because that's our capital. And we also know that to do this in the junior market, we will need to have some type of revenue stream to pay the ongoing expenses. We have people to pay, we have taxes that have to be paid, and we're doing that. We're doing a small financing right now, and I'm very cautious of who I'm bringing into this financing. And the reason why that is, I'm basically, most of the people that finance this company right now in the last little bit are current shareholders. They understand that this capital is going to be working towards developing properties in Peru. I'm not taking capital because most investors that have a short-term view, they look at 4 to 6 month view on where, if I put money into your company, it's a 4-month hold, and after that, I'll sell the stock, keep the warrant. I don't want that type of investor. I'm looking at this as a long-term view, and my shareholders that have been financing this company are thinking this way. Okay, so when I'm looking at several years down the road to build a sustainable working model by acquiring properties, putting these properties into production, and I'm working the Peruvian style of exploration, where some of the biggest companies in Peru were built on this model. What I'm generating, where you take a look at a high-grade operation, you get going on it, you bring the money, you bring the mineral down to the plant. Since we have a plant, we can process the mineral, the cash flow can generate this property. It'll keep the shareholder dilution down. And if we need to go and finance a development project on one of our properties, we can do so, but every dollar would be spent on the ground. We would not have to spend any of that dilution on G&A, whatever, because it's all covered right now. So we're very unique. I'm a one-focused CEO. I'm not on the board of any other company. I'm the second largest shareholder of the company behind Rick Brown, which owns 11 million. I have about 9.5 million. I'm focused on one company, and this is Peruvian Metals, and that's the difference. Where you need to show, I need to show the shareholders, even though I'm in the same boat as all the shareholders because of the share capital I have, but my compensation and everything is related to my market cap, which is much lower than most CEOs in the company, and I only get fees from one company in the business, and that's the difference in between Peruvian Metals and almost all the other junior companies that we got cash flow. We're generating properties. We've actually regenerated a new property today. We put out news of a low sulfidation system, high grade, and my target on this property is to bring down mineral into the plant, obviously, but also we may get lucky and find a very large high-grade silver gold property located nearby our plant as well. And it's located in prolific Calipui volcanics, which has some of the biggest mines in Peru. So we're quite excited about this.
Yeah, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of today's news then. You just laid out the model, so obviously this property here was very appealing to you. So when's the work start, and how do you get rolling?
Well, we started the work already, and there's an old shaft in there that's been filled with some water. So we're going to be pumping out the water out of the mine, and we're going to establish a good camp there. There's buildings, there's power to site, so we have to pay we're connected to the local power grid on this property as well. It's privately owned land, so we've already talked to the private owners. We're going to have them as part vigilantes, I guess, like watching the property. So we got We got very good social conditions, power to plant, located 90 kilometers mainly by very good road to our plant. And we're going to start doing the geological mapping. There's one vein structure that's very prominent, but there's other veins in the area too. So we got those covered. And so we'll do the geophysics coming up. We'll be able to do this work at a very low cost, and we'll start doing some metallurgical work. But we want to develop this property two ways. One, underground development, so we will be able to bring an underground drill rig in, and second, surface exploration to find that big resource that if we can get a good resource in there that we can take all our mineral from our plant, we bring it to our own plant and process it. That would be the end goal, and develop this thing. It's a very high grade silver, samples up to 50 ounces silver, but we'd be looking at an average grade about 15 ounce equivalent silver with gold. We're looking at about a 77-to-1 ratio. And these are the type of systems, Rob, that are bonanza grade, high grade, bonanza grade epithermal deposits in very prospective volcanics in Peru. We're not looking for a big open pit heap leach kind of thing. No, we're going to be going underground, taking the mineral and bringing it to our plant. And cost for transportation, we don't know that, but it's 90 kilometers. We have people or miners in Northern Peru that are shipping mineral to our plant at over 3 times the distance, and they're making money. So we're well positioned on this property.
Let's get into the finer print of the deal here, Jeff. You said $200,000 cash in 6 months. You're already working on this thing, so in theory, this thing is going to could yield potential revenue back, so you could pay this thing off almost through cash flow, I would think. But is there an NSR on the deal, or lay it out?
Okay, so we actually, how I came up across this property was 3 years ago. We identified this property, and it was when silver was like $14 an ounce, and gold was something like $1,200 US an ounce, right? And it was held by an older gentleman that had the permits and all the stuff to do the small scale mining, and he wanted and we negotiated this thing of getting it in production, and we had to pay him a minimum of $100,000 a year and a 2.5% NSR. That was the old deal, a 2% or 2.5% NSR. And it was a minimum of $100,000 a year we had to pay him. So then, because of everything was happening in the market now in Peru, he's an older gentleman. He got scared and everything like this. And we went back to him and said, well, we want to do this deal again. And he's an older gentleman. And we said, we're not interested and the taxes are due September 30th. He had not the money to pay for the taxes. He came to us. So we went from a $400,000 buyout that we had on this property several years ago with a 2% NSR in perpetuity to just a $200,000 cash payment with no royalty. And we said, take it or leave it, but we have all the surrounding ground around it too. So we negotiated hard. We had the cash to pay for his taxes. He would have lost it, but we did it on the last day. And we just got the public deed signed just the other day in the Peruvian notary. So we own it. So we negotiated hard, but it's $200,000. And Rob, the way I look at it is $200,000 US for a property that's going to cash flow and could have multi-million ounce silver potential. People that live in condominiums and pay for houses that are much more expensive than this. So it's a great deal for us. With no royalty, I can do. This gives us such a latitude, and these are the type of deals that will benefit us if we can continue doing these deals. And we can continue doing this type of stuff. That's why I don't have to go to the market continuously to raise money. These things are going to generate our own cash flow. We're a sustainable business. As a large shareholder of the company, I don't want to dilute anymore. And if I have to, I will, but it's only for very specific purposes. And the only reason why we're just raising a little bit of money now, because we lost 5 months of production due to COVID. And now we're back at full production, not full production, but we're at 2/3 capacity of the plant these days. So we're doing well.
Yeah, so let's kind of guide into the future here. Obviously, this here is a thievery, a legal thievery. I mean, this is I don't even know if we can put this into perspective now. What you've potentially done. So let's talk about the plant getting to, as you said, toward full capacity. Not quite there yet. I know the market views you more of a toll miner. I think you laid out a good reason of you're not a toll miner. You're taking care of basic expenses. You're not diluting anymore. But this is certainly the catalyst to fill up Aguila Norte.
Exactly. And Rob, with that, we keep a very low G&A. Myself as the CEO, I'm also the geologist, and I have our CFO. His compensation is low because he's got other things he's going on. But we have a general manager down in Peru that's focused 100% on this stuff. It's all Peruvian people down there. We don't have any expatriates. We are a small company building this thing up from all the contacts that we have in Peru, all the miners. We got 3 properties right now, which is called the Minas Maria Norte, high-grade silver and lead in southern Peru. We got the Plata Dorada joint venture with real silver 50-50 there that we are starting the mining within the next month. We're putting all the infrastructure in there that's located nearby our plant. Then we got this property. So we got 3 properties here that are going to feed our plant. Okay, but I'm not actually doing these deals, but I think these deals actually have very good potential. And I would rather have a very high margin, high grade property that we can put in production rather than these big low grades that take years to permit and social problems and everything like this. So the focus is I would focus on these properties, and when we do that, when we focus on these properties, we could have the potential of finding a very high grade system there. And there's a lot of people talking about silver ratio is going to be at 77-1 right now, and the silver ratio could come down to 50-61. This is going to increase our values on these properties because I'm going after these high grade silver things. We're talking multi-ounce silver deals, and I'd like to be considered rather than on a toll mill, but a silver producer and developer in Peru. And that's the goal. I can do it. We can generate cash, and we can do that. A very respective way to our shareholders, which we are all big shareholders, meaning like dilution is going to be kept to a minimum, and that is really a long-term approach we have. We're sitting with a 4.5 million Canadian market cap, and we had 1.6 million dollars Canadian revenue in 2019. This COVID has affected us, but we are actually we had a better month in August than or month of September than we compared to last year. And we're going to have a very good quarter this year, or fourth quarter. And we can continue doing that. So we're going on both fronts, and my Peruvian crew is working very hard, and I've got to really pat them on the back for their hard work.
Before I let you go here, Jeff, once you give investors a reason to follow PER, it makes you a little different. I know you've been around there for 20 some odd years, but why follow PER and Jeff Reeder?
Well, we basically in Peru, we feel that our technical crew is excellent. We have found we've developed several properties and did a lot of deals like in the past with our porphyry coppers and all that type of stuff. But our experience in Peru, you got one focus management on one company. That's it. And we have a Peruvian crew that we've been working with for 25 years. We have contacts all over the country that have access to these properties and high-grade properties. And we're not doing the deals that are multi-million ounce or multi-million dollar deals. We're generating these properties internally for our stockholders. And we're focused on the long term. We're only a $4.5 million market cap with revenue, and our comparables are quite extraordinary compared to other companies. So that's the reason why.
Okay, appreciate that. That was Jeff Reeder, CEO, Peruvian Metals, PER on the venture, DUVNF, and the OTC in the States. Hey, Jeff, thanks for that update. We'll certainly look forward to checking back in when you have some more news to report.
Okay, thank you, Rob.